This rock art is thousands of years old. We don't know who put it here or why it's here, really, but it's hidden in plain sight, and I'm here to have a look for it myself. I'm here on Ilkley Moor. Now this is a beautiful place that's covered in ferns, covered in heather, and secretly hiding rock art. Now what is rock art? Well, rock art is something that was made thousands of years ago in prehistoric times, made with a hammerstone and pecking at a rock until it created these abstract art pieces. You've got cup markings, you've got cup and ring markings. These different bits of art you can find on panels all over Ilkley Moor. Hundreds and hundreds of them. I think there's about 400 panels here on this moor. Now, who did this? Well, experimental archaeology has occurred to figure out who might have done this, and we've got men, women, young, old, all able to make rock art. It doesn't matter your strength. Now here, if you look around, there's loads of heather, there's loads of ferns. How in the heck are we going to be able to find any rock art here? Well, I've got, thankfully, my phone, which has OS maps on it, and I've been able to put in input into it different locations for where we could possibly get some rock art. So I'm gonna go have a look, see what I can find. Okay, I think there might be one just over there. There's like a panel that I can just barely see, and it potentially matches the location on my OS map, so I think we should go have a look. Yeah! Oh, that's great. This has a lot of stuff on it, actually. We've got some cup marks here. There's a groove there. And then if we go further this way, this is like a cup with, maybe it's like a half ring, I can't really tell. But this here is a cup with what looks like a ring around it. So this is a pretty good start for the first bit of rock art we've seen.
And my discoveries didn't stop there. Well hidden by the heather was an example of rock art, which gives some clues as to how it might have been created.
Yeah, there's some peck marks on this one. There's some pecking. So we've just come across a rock art panel here that's got some proof of pecking, which are these little tiny marks made when the hammerstone was used to actually carve out these rock art carvings. So we can actually see little tiny peck marks all throughout these little bits here. It's really, really cool. I've never actually seen this before, so this is really neat to stumble upon. I'm keen to learn more, so I'm meeting up with Tom Bell, who's an expert in rock art.
What we've got here on Ilkley Moor are late Neolithic to early Bronze Age markings into the rock. They would have been pecked in using a hammerstone, and they would have made these nice abstract shapes, and we have hundreds of them across the moor.
So do we know anything about who made these or how long it would take to make any of these cut markings?
No, it's really difficult to know about who made them, but what we do know is how long it would have taken to make one. There's been experimental archaeology done, and using different hammerstones and different rock, we estimate it would take between half an hour and 1.5 hours to make one of these.
So we have all of these bits of rock art, but is there any way we can date them? How do we know that they're prehistoric?
These are really difficult to date. Most of it's been done by using either things in the vicinity, artefacts found nearby, or we're going off general typology. What are the shapes that have been carved? So it's really difficult for us to understand what the motifs might mean, but maybe it's more important to look at why they are carved, not what is carved.
Is this something that's a normal spot for rock art to be, this panel up here? I've seen some on hillsides in Scotland, and this now we're on a plateau. Is this a normal place for rock art to be found?
Yeah, this is fairly normal. The ones in Scotland are usually marking either a viewpoint or a water source. They're marking entrances and exits to glens, and usually along the edges of the lowlands there.
And I imagine that pecking this with a hammerstone would have made a loud sound. So if you're in these valleys or anything like that, or even up here, it would have made a loud sound. Am I on the right track at all?
Yeah, a lot of the panels are in places where the sound would have reverberated, it would have attracted people. And one of the interesting parts in Scotland, they found a quartz hammerstone. Now, when that would have hit the rock, it would have created bright sparks, so not only are you getting the sound, but you're getting the light show as well.
So here on Ilkley Moor, so many people are walking past these and they don't even know that they're passing rock art. Is there a way to tell? Because to me, some of these divots, I don't know if I could tell the difference between a cut marking and just a natural divot in the stone. Is there a secret to it?
Now, with the cut marks, it can be quite difficult. Sometimes you get little marks made by gas coming out, but usually you're looking for it to be nice and smooth and regular. Obviously, it's a lot easier looking at these cup and ring marks because you're not going to get anything like that occurs naturally.
So looking at this landscape, there's so many stones that are hidden by heather. How can people possibly find them all? How do you know what they mean or anything like that?
Well, that's true, and there's probably hundreds that we haven't found here. Now, an interesting place is on the North York Moors, where there was a moorland fire, and that allowed archaeologists to uncover 180 panels of rock art. Now, these are all mapped out, and they proved to be along routeways through the moor, and especially at important places like Waterway. One where it was really difficult to cross, one of the only possible crossing places, was marked by a stone with 8 cut marks on it.
Well, thanks for that, Tom. I'm now going to go see if I can find some more.
Before I do, though, my conversation with Tom's inspired me to look further than Ilkley Moor and to compare the rock art here with those in other parts of the country. Dr. Antonia Thomas is a lecturer at the University of Highlands and Islands who studies the relationship between art and archaeology, especially at the famous Ness of Brodgar, where Time Team will be carrying out fresh excavations later this year.
Across a lot of upland areas of Britain, there are a lot of panels of open-air rock art situated in the landscape, and these often appear to be at key points in the landscape along routeways, kind of perhaps marking kind of territory or places where people would move around. And the interesting thing about those is they tend to have a certain style, which is often the kind of famous cup and ring styles that people see, the kind of the curving lines and things like that. And that's quite typical of what is often thought to be Bronze Age markings, rock art in the landscape. Here in Orkney, we've actually got a very different expression, if you like. We don't have any examples of open air rock art at all. All of the examples from the Neolithic and into the Bronze Age of any sort of rock art are all found in architectural contexts. They're all found within buildings. In Orkney, we have a real wealth of architecture surviving from prehistory, and particularly in the Neolithic, think of the famous buildings, the passage grave, the tombs, such as Maes Howe. We have, of course, standing stones, the 2 stone circles of the Ring of Brodgar and the stones of Stennis. These are all sites in the Heart of Neolithic Orkney World Heritage Site. And then, of course, the amazing settlement at Skara Brae, the houses at Skara Brae, which are contemporary, broadly with the tombs and the stone circles. And Orkney is the only place in the UK which has this incredible wealth of surviving architecture from the same time, architecture relating to living houses like Skara Brae, and also houses for the dead, the tombs like Maes Howe. And then in amongst that, we also have the incredible complex of the Ness of Brodgar. And at the Ness of Brodgar, there's around 1,100 examples of rock art that we can think of within the buildings. And many of these are in situ on the original walls, and we can really see how they were placed and carved in the Neolithic and how they were appreciated. The carvings at the Ness of Brodgar are very different from the sort of open air rock art we'd see in the landscape of somewhere like Ilkley Moor. And the rock art at the Ness of Brodgar, it's all inside the buildings and it's on the walls, and it's almost entirely linear and geometric in style. It's angular. It has kind of lines and chevrons, triangles, and these sort of abstract linear geometric shapes. To find something that's more similar to the kind of open air rock art, we do have some examples from passage graves in Orkney of curvilinear designs, spirals and things like that. But these are actually quite rare. And the kind of normal design and style that we find in the Orkney buildings is this angular geometric motifs instead.
So I've been walking out here for a bit now, and Ilkley Moor is just such a special place. I keep coming back here and keep looking for more rock art, and today we found quite a bit, which has been really great. And I hope that people can come out here and they can enjoy this rock art as well. And you know, you can move the heather about a little bit, you can check OS maps to try and figure out where some of this rock art is, but there's certain rock art to look out for. So, cut marks, those are kind of the main ones we've been seeing. Then you've got a cup and a ring. You've got cup ring with a line in it. Sometimes you just get abstract ones with random grooves or lines just sort of wiggling their way around the rock. And sometimes you can even find ones that look a bit like a palmier. And you can look for these basically on any of these rocks, just see if you can find them. And if you do, you can upload them to a system and help create a map of all of this for future archaeologists. I've had a great time out here on Ilkley Moor. It's been really special getting to walk in the same steps as people from thousands and thousands of years ago. And you can do it too. All you have to do is look up where these locations might be, and you can come out to Ilkley Moor and you can look for these bits of rock art. It's so fun rummaging around in the heather and the ferns looking for something. So, see if you can find any yourself.
Join Time Team on Patreon to access exclusive 3D models, masterclasses, and behind-the-scenes insights.